I've invested a lot of time, effort, and money to make the streams and videos look better, and part of it you'll see it, part of it isn't really visible because it slides its cameras and also the way you capture those images to your computer. Nowadays the standard is moving towards 4K. I'm capturing this in 4K using an Elgato Camlink 4K, but if you wanted to capture a video from your console, it will be a little more difficult. You would either need to spend a lot of money in a capture card, or you would need to have a custom-built PC with an internal capture card to do that. So I've been using the HD60X, but it has a limitation and only really does 4K 30 at the maximum. It can do 1440p 60, but now we have the upgrade. Now there's the 4KX, which is essentially a game changer for content creation because it allows you to do the capture at up to 4K 144, and this from a format that is just like an HD60, so you can do it from a PC, you can do it from a Mac, and you really don't need to have a big custom computer, so you can install a card in. So all done through USB. Though I will have more use for this other than just game capture, but let's unbox it. Let's open it up. Box inside a box. You would love to see that. Inside there is the 4KX. I'm really glad it is exactly the same box as the HD60. I think this format is fantastic. In terms of the way they look, they are exactly the same front and back. I love this because the format of the HD60 has been always pretty cool because you can just put it on the back of your desk and the cables can be routed if you want to. And this is essentially the basic, or rather the perfect format for every single capture card, Elgato or not. And for this one, just as for the HD60, it does have the 3.5mm jack at the front, an HDMI in and out, and then a USB-C. Sadly, I would love to see this one day, maybe another HDMI in so we can do game capture and as well, you know, camera capture through the same USB-C, maybe in the future. This is new ultra certified cable HDMI ultra high speed. So there's an HDMI 2.1 that allows you to do up to 40 gigabit per second transfer rate. So this definitely has to be certified for that. No, there's a lot of cables that I've been using in the past and they can really do much. And if you have something certified for up to 8K, that's actually pretty cool. Capture card doesn't do up to 8K. That would be to the other one, the internal one that they are launching as well. But, you know, there's really no reason to swap different cables and they just put the same cable everywhere. At least you're future-proof somewhat. And this is the USB cable, USB-C 3.2, up to 10 gigabits per second. Very regular stuff you have from them. Capture card, couple of cables to let you go. You can use this on a Mac, you can use this on a PC. The 4KX is extremely versatile. It covers a bunch of resolutions and frame rates all the way up to 4K 144 Hz. For capture, it can do 4K at 120 Hz SDR, 4K at 30 Hz HDR, 1440p at 60 Hz HDR. It can also do a pass-through of 4K at 120 Hz HDR. If you want to use 144 Hz for 4K, that will be done at SDR 8-bit. And if you're using a dual PC setup to capture your content, it can do 1440p as well. Being able to capture 1440p at 144 Hz SDR or 60 Hz HDR, but it can also do a pass-through up to 240 Hz HDR. The small thing also has a couple of very interesting features. One of them is variable refresh rate that will align dynamically the refresh rates of your graphics card or monitor to the console, so it will reduce the screen tearing. The other feature is auto low latency mode. It's something that is brought with HDMI 2.1 and it will work with compatible monitors or compatible TVs, and then it will activate automatically the low latency mode of the TV, so you also have a better gaming experience while you're capturing. As I mostly do sim racing in this channel, I've done a lot of recording on Gran Turismo 7 and also in Assetto Corsa Competizione. Unlike most streamers out there or those who do capture card reviews for a living on YouTube, I don't really test with FPSs, I just do sim racing, and that's basically for me the most important thing. And what I look for when I am testing all of these cards is basically how it's able to keep up with the details at a large bitrate, and if it's able to also keep the colors true. I use SDR, not HDR, because I don't really have a TV that does proper HDR. Everything that I have, it's HDR 400, which is basically HDR-ent. So SDR content, color graded, is something that I mostly use. And essentially what you're seeing and what you've been seeing is content captured through the 4KX capture card, and honestly it looks really good at 4K. The HD60X also looked really good. This one looks slightly better because you can upscale it to, or you can use it at 4K and we'll get more details. Well, some conclusions about the 4KX. The price that they ask, it's now $229 instead the previous one, which was $179 to $200. So there is a small price increase, but the features I think are worthwhile. But honestly, there's two ways to approach this. If you have already a HD60X, I don't really think that you should spend $229 more to upgrade to this, unless of course you really need it for your content. In that case, yeah, of course. But if you already have a HD60X and what you're doing is fine, sure, keep it. I think it will be more than enough, at least for a couple more years, until you need really to upgrade it, or you start using other types of capture frequencies with HDR and you really need something like that, then of course go this way. For those of you on dual PC setups, the pass-through up to 240 Hz for 1440p can be also something interesting. The HD60 has quite a good pass-through of 120, but if you stream competitive first-person shooters and you need all the FPS that you can muster, this upgrade might be something significant. But if you really don't need the extra FPS from 120 of the HD60X to this one, well, the upgrade, once again, it might be something for the future if you do need some of the features, namely the HDR, whenever HDR becomes more prevalent. So right now, in practical terms, not just in technical terms, the biggest difference between the HD60X and the 4KX is that if you really want to go towards the 4K standard, which will be the standard on YouTube coming forward, then yeah, this is a really good choice. And at $229, I know it's an increase of about 40 pounds or $40. It might be useful if you want to bump up that quality. Being surrounded by sim racing equipment isn't really normal for somebody talking about capture cards and stuff for content creators, so if you're interested in sim racing, check out this video here.